We got it. We did it, Lubie. We came through.
We did. Thank goodness.
Wow. I mean, that could not have been more exciting on Friday night. That was the
like
Panthers victory. You know what it reminded me of? It really did. It reminded me of that whole Nick Wallenda thing when he was going over the Grand Canyon there on the tightrope and they misgauged the wind. And all of a sudden you get like the Santa Ana winds are kicking up and they've made their way over to Las Vegas. And this guy's trying to balance himself. Now, he was sort of attached to the thing. So it wasn't like he was going to go into the bottom of the abyss there and fall like 1,500 feet. It was kind of treacherous to watch as he was praying to God. And as we've often referenced, probably the most unusual aspect of that whole telecast was that Joel Osteen was assisting from a mental standpoint, supposedly Nick Wallenda, as he went out there, and he was giving him confidence. And there were many God references, like, oh, God. And he's in the middle of the Grand Canyon there, not looking too sure of himself, wearing a pair of like ballet slippers and holding a rod. But I think Joel Osteen was having his rod held by Wallenda's wife.
Oh, yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Keep going, Nick. Keep going. See, Joel Osteen, I mean, yeah, he's very good at what he does, I have to say. He's very good at what he does. True. When you watch those lectures, you start to believe that, you know what, maybe Jesus can come and save me. But I don't think so.
I don't know. That's a long shot.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest and a well-illuminated Mike Lubitz. Great to be with you here on Ion Channel. It was good also to get that opening clip in and start the show because it served as an interruption and a stop to Lubie's pre-show whining about the Miami Heat because, to quote the late, great Don Meredith, the party's over.
Yeah.
Turn out the lights. The Flowers are in a punch there for Lubie's Miami Heat, unfortunately, although still a possibility that they could bounce back, win one in Boston, bring the series back to South Florida here, and the, what is it, FXS? Is that it? FTX.
FTX Arena.
I'm not up on cryptocurrency. Should I be up on cryptocurrency? People, I saw their face buried in their hands, some pictures in the paper, because cryptocurrency somehow took a giant hit last week. And lost like half of its value.
4 months. I mean, it was I don't know if it's a fad thing, but I don't think it's what people think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to.
What is it exactly? I mean, what are you buying? Are you buying anything that has some foundation and fundamental value, or are you just buying like a principle? Well, what is that?
It's
cryptocurrency.
Is it? I mean, if you talk about blockchain, that's an actual thing. Cryptocurrency is a sort of.
If you buy gold, you have a brick of gold, right? I mean, a piece of it.
Yes.
If you buy silver, you're buying silver. You're buying a commodity. What are you buying if you're buying cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and all of that stuff?
It's the same thing. It's attributing value to an idea, which is what gold is. Gold is just some substance that, to the Native Americans, I'm sure meant shit. So it's just whatever value we attribute to the substance. And it's what crypto is. And there may be a future, but I don't know if it's what, though. Like, I have buddies that are like, it's everything. It's like, okay. I mean, there are
plenty of people that made giant scores. So obviously,
yeah, it's fine if you got in and out. But I have people that like have held on thinking it's going to take over. It's going to be the worldwide currency. It's like maybe, but
I would have gone into it last year. I would have invested all of my money and invested it last year. And then, of course, it would be worth like 10% of what it was when I originally put the investment in. Much when I hit the real estate market hard in 2008. Yep. And I still remember my dad's words ring in my ears as the market began to steadily and almost at first suddenly collapsed and then just stayed that way for a while, and everybody was broke. And I remember him saying to me, Jeff, you've had a really good life, and attribute a lot of joy to your success. But the good news is you own 3 houses, and the bad news is you own 3 houses. And that was it. Which ended up being 0 houses after I schwitzed out the period there of trying to explain to banks why I didn't have their money on time. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. If you were betting cryptocurrency on the game last night and you had the Miami Heat, and remember we were talking about how curious that line was of the Celtics being favored on the road by 1.5 by the odds makers, the line makers, who obviously are very intuitive when it comes to this sort of thing. They're rarely wrong. And they were only wrong to the extent that they didn't accommodate the Heat with enough points to make it worthwhile to make that bet, because they ultimately lost by 13. It was a close game. They were up at halftime by 5 in a horrible game. Just a brick festival. The final totals on this are disturbing, actually, if you're talking about the state of the game of basketball. And did you see Pat Riley? He actually looked worse at the end of that ball game when they had the shots at Pat Riley. He looked worse than he did in the portrayal of him in winning time by, what's the actor's name again? It looks like Joe Pepitone with the nose. The guy with the schnoz. Yeah, you always had it right on the tip of your tongue. Anyway, he looked horrible. Riley, he literally looked like he had just seen his life passing in front of him.
Adrian Brody.
Realized that.
Adrian Brody.
Brody, yeah. They were about to turn out the lights on the Miami Heat. Just an horrendous performance.
It's healthy. What are you going to do?
Like 7 for 45 on 3-point shots.
On there's 2 straight games now.
45.
2 straight games. Like the Celtics, and that's why I was frustrated and upset when it was close, and because I knew, I'm like, look, Tatum eventually is going to hit his. But Brown's going to eventually hit his.
He was 2 for 10 early in the game and having a horrible game.
Couldn't hit shots, but it wasn't health. So eventually they'll get better. The Heat is health. Like every single guy on that team is hurt at this point, and it feels like last year. It feels like last year when they got to the Bucks and they just didn't have it. Whatever Pritchard did to Butler, I don't know, intentional. Call it whatever you want. Butler, since missing that half of basketball, has not been Jimmy Butler. He's been Kyle Lowry of these playoffs. Like, he hasn't been aggressive. He's been tentative. His jumper is way short. And if you were watching him, his mid-range jumper had become science by the time they were at game 3 of this series. That's when I was like, oh, that's why I didn't bitch. I didn't moan. People were texting me, oh my God. I'm like, what is there to be frustrated about? Literally, even Strus went to the locker room. Like, if everyone has lower body injuries and they're shooters, if you played basketball before, you know, if your back or your legs are hurting you, good luck. Like, so it's like,
well, it looked like they had their arms cut off also, and they had all had broken wrists. 7 for 45 on 3-point shots. They suffer and have to endure a 24-2 Boston run at a point. I guess that was in the third quarter, 6.5 minute stretch there. The score went from like 59 to 58 to I guess that would be 80 something.
It was like around
all of a sudden it was a 20-point game
of the third to like 10-minute mark, 9-minute mark of the fourth. That stretch right there, they hit.
Strus 0 for 9 in a game. Lowry and Strus combined the last 2 games. 2 of your starters, 1 for 28 from the field.
Yeah.
That's Panther-esque. So what looks so promising, this is a thing, a dark cloud. It's almost like it's 4 o'clock at Calder Racecourse in the middle of July, back in the day when you could set your watch to the fact that a dark cloud was going to be hovering over the western part of South Florida, and lightning bolts were going to be coming from the sky and coming within a very short distance of hitting you right in the head. And you realize, okay, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon here, and we are going to be covered and ensconced in just an absolute monsoon-like condition here anytime now, and get swarmed under. Everybody run for cover, and that's kind of how the game went. And maybe you can attribute it to injuries. I think that might be valid, Lubie. I don't like to use that as an excuse. Marcus Smart certainly is playing through some injuries and isn't 100%. Al Horford looks to be 100%, even though he missed a couple of games. Or at least one game, right? Al Horford missed one game with health protocols, which is what? I mean, he had a head cold, COVID, I don't know. But he's been dynamite, Al Horford. And wow, at his age, what versatility, huh? Holy Tito Horford. Yeah, remember Tito Horford with the University of Miami, or were you too young to remember?
I remember him. My dad's talked about him. I know of.
He was like their big star there for a little while when they really didn't have much to offer. This was pre-Jim Larinaga era, and pre-Leonard Hamilton. It was the very early days. Tito Horford was a big player for the University of Miami when they brought back the basketball program. And his son, Al, wow, I mean, carrying on the tradition, actually, on a long term, has been a much better player than his father was. But he was great last night. What versatility. I mean, leading fast breaks, doing all kinds of stuff, twisting and turning, going to the basket, hitting threes, been on fire from 3-point range. He didn't have a ton of points in the game last night, but certainly was one of the more influential players. And then Tatum got it together and ended up being the leading scorer for the Celtics, who now put themselves in a category, Lubie, where the odds are in our favor, right? The odds are in their favor. They are in a position now after a 2-2 tie in a series where some low 80s percentage, like 83% of the time, the team that wins game number 5 goes on to win the series. They now have game 6 in Boston. Many people would think, after watching that performance last night, that was it. I mean, you can go ahead and throw in the towel. Flowers are in the punch, as we said, and looks like the party's over for the Miami Heat. So 2 very promising potential postseason runs look like they're coming to a sudden, quick, abrupt end, as the Panthers got eliminated in 4 games. And I still can't find this anywhere. I don't know. You should be able to look this up, right? What were the odds before the series of the Lightning getting a sweep? And I haven't been able to find it. If anybody on the chat line wants to pop that in there, that would be great. And haven't been able to find it. But I'm assuming it had to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 10-1. And then on top of that, the Miami Heat looked like they had a very, very good chance to beat the Boston Celtics in this series. Had the home court edge, had a slightly better record during the regular season, and had the Yogi Berra-ism deep depth, which you thought was going to be an asset, but it looks like that's crumbling also, as the Celtics have been able to be the powerful force in the second half of the last couple of games, and the Miami Heat absolutely disintegrated in last night's game after leading by 5 at halftime, in what was just a bona fide brickfest. It was a hard game to watch. 7 for 45 from 3. I'm sorry, that's not basketball, Lubie. I don't care, if you're down in the game and you're jacking up threes because you think that's a quick way to make it up. What is 7 for 45? I mean, if it was 7 for 50, that would be 14%. So we're talking about shooting 20% from 3-point range, something like that. Yeah, that's not going to get it done. And yet they keep doing it, keep hoisting them up there.
I don't see. That's my thing is and that's why, if you notice, I've been the first one to bitch when they shoot too many threes. I've been the first one to complain when they don't have effort. That's not, last night wasn't that. Like, that's the thing is I don't use the injury thing as an excuse. I use the injury thing as, well, it makes sense. Like, the Bucks weren't going to beat the Celtics without Middleton. I don't give a shit how close the series was. At some point, it was going to hurt them. The Celtics have their 2 best players. If you have your 2 best players, then you'll be fine. You'll figure it out. Like, once you lose one of your best players, it changes everything. You're now asking more of everyone else. Strus, Vincent, and Caleb Martin are not carrying this team. And that's literally what it got to last night. Like, they weren't shooting threes because they were lazy. They weren't shooting threes because it was easy. Last night, they were shooting threes because they're injured. And whether that's good or bad, excuse or not, that's the truth. Like, Jimmy Butler doesn't sit there hemming and hawing with the ball. He looked like a guy that was playing his first NBA game. Like, that's not Jimmy Butler. So it is what it is. Like, the Celtics will move on and they'll get to the finals. But Payton Pritchard series, and it's
remove those sharp objects there from the background. I see you have some knives and razor blades.
I'm not even upset. It's just annoying. Payton Pritchard tripped Jimmy Butler and it changed the series. And I think that's bullshit.
Listen to you. Now you're blaming that on a dirty play. I mean, 100%. Nobody ever established that.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't get that. I don't. Spo was pissed about it. Butler was pissed about it. But the Heat aren't the kind of franchise that are going to go and scream about it when it was clear what he did, and he changed the series.
All right. Well, we got to calm you down here, Mike Lubitz. It's over. Why don't you just resign yourself to the fact that it's over? And I like that. And it would be nice if they somehow pulled a miraculous comeback and at least got it to a Game 7. But that didn't look like it was in the stars. So Game 6 tomorrow night, Boston Celtics with a chance to kind of coronate themselves. And the Eastern Conference Trophy, I believe, is named the Bob Cousy Trophy.
I think so.
And the Eastern Conference MVP, Finals MVP trophy, I believe, is also named for Larry Bird.
Yes, Larry Bird.
So all signs are pointing to the fact that this thing is going to culminate in a 6-game victory for the Boston Celtics. Although, they still have to play the game, and who knows, some miraculous recovery. Dr. Harlan Selznick might be the MVP of the Miami Heat right now. Our good friend, Dr. Harlan Selznick, been the Heat team physician since the very inception of the franchise. Goes all the way back to 1988. A great guy, by the way, just a tremendous individual. I've been fortunate enough when I had an injury a long time ago to have Dr. Harlan Selznick give me some personal treatment, and he operated on my son's knee a couple of times. Unfortunately, it didn't respond as well as you would have hoped. I don't know exactly what the extent of the damage was, but if Dr. Harlan Selznick couldn't solve the problem on any kind of a permanent basis where he was back to normal, then probably nobody could, right? Well, where are you going to go? James Andrews? I don't know. I'll take Selznick over Dr. James Andrews.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you have Tommy John, you want to go to Dr. James Andrews, no?
Yes.
He didn't invent the procedure or, devise the procedure, but he certainly became the go-to guy for all orthopedic surgeries. Anyway, Dr. James Andrews should be on a bench with Dr. Harlan Stelzner because they need just a group of physicians to try and figure out how by tomorrow night they're going to be well enough to go on the road and beat the Boston Celtics when they've been inclined to go into these ridiculous droughts as they did last night, to the tune of 24-2 in a 6.5-minute span. So that was ugly. That was the result of the basketball playoff game. The Golden State Warriors have a chance tonight to wrap up their series. Many people figure that that's going to happen against the Dallas Mavericks. So right now, I mean, you probably would get very prohibitive odds if you were a sick degenerate and you wanted to bet who's going to be in the finals. It does look very much and is coming into focus as a Golden State Boston Celtic. I mean, if you have the guts, maybe we can talk Mayo into doing this.
To take
the Heat and Dallas to meet in the finals. Probably get a pretty nifty price on that, but like your money in Bitcoin, it's likely to go up in smoke if you get in there a little bit too late. All right, we have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Dave Gurgles going to join us in about 10 minutes here on the show, and you can dial us up, and we welcome all chronics and regulars to give us a call on the show. It's always exciting. We have a Landlubber's gift certificate we're going to give away. That's a restaurant here in town, a great restaurant and sports bar, and an ideal place to catch all of this action because there's so many things going on. Man, the French Open yesterday, I know people think I'm obsessed. Like, what's he talking about the French Open? Who gives a crap? Go have some French toast, Defo. Shovel it in your face and shut up. Great stuff. I mean, look, tennis, individual sports are a whole different animal, right? Because, you can make excuses for this or that with a team. It's just you against the other person in these individual sports like boxing and tennis. And it's been fabulous. I mean, they've already had any number of just astounding upsets in the early rounds of the French Open. And then yesterday, what a bloodbath this was. My man, Carlos Alcaraz, he's my man now, 19 years old. He's barely even a man. But he is a beast. I mean, and he lit it up on the red clay. He won a couple of tournaments in the build-up to the French Open and just looked sensational doing it. Very exciting player. The crowd loves him. Everybody loves him. Nadal loves him. The country of Spain loves him. So he's going against a countryman. And I don't want to dismiss this guy because he deserves credit and a mention here. Albert Ramos Vinolas, okay, is an older guy from Spain that you never heard of, right? And I never heard of him either. Albert, I can't even remember his name, and I just read it. Ramos Vinolas, okay? So Alcaraz blows him out in the first set. And it's best of 5 in these slam events, which is a whole different animal, Lubie. It really is. We had yesterday this guy Zverev, who's the number 3 seed. Real good player, solid, been, up there contending in a couple of semifinals and finals. I think even won a tournament during the red clay tournaments that built up to the French Open, the lead up to it. And he's been playing great and has been a consistently solid player for several years now. Zverev, they're waiting for him to break through and win a Grand Slam event. I want to say that he hasn't won one yet. I think that's a fairly safe bet. But nonetheless, always a factor. And usually, you can count on him to go into the late rounds, quarters, semis, and even the final. And he's against some journeyman guy and is down 2 sets. Loses the first 2 sets, has to bounce back, and then he finally wins it in 5. Now he dominates sets 3 and 4, but then a dogfight in set number 5. So that was a great match. And then later on, the same day, yesterday, at the French Open, this Alcaraz wins the first set handily and then loses the next 2.
Oh, geez.
And is facing a match point and looks like he's going to be knocked out in like the second round of the tournament, which would have been a remarkable, stunning upset. And somehow he hangs on by like a fingernail, battles back, wins that set, and then wins a very tough, hotly contested 5th set where he went down a break early on and was down 3 games to love. Down a break, he bounced back from that, won that set 6-4, and so he survives and moves on. Nice. Which, if you go Jim Valvano on that, that's all you have to do, survive and move on. Yep. So maybe that was one of those indicators of, another one of his greatness indicators that he wasn't on his best stuff, and yet he found a way to stave off disaster and win the match. But sensational stuff. The women are putting on a whale of a show. So that's been great, and that's all part of the sporting activity that's going on right now. And if you're at Landlubbers, you can catch all of this stuff sort of
Yes.
simultaneously, although the French Open's on much earlier than these basketball or hockey games. And a brilliant hockey game last night. Did you catch this?
I didn't watch it, but it's interesting. It's nice to see the Avalanche being pushed a little. I thought they were going to just run through the whole.
Wow, pushed. I mean, they were shoved right under a train yesterday. They're up 3-0 on the St. Louis Blues, and that was somewhere in the second period. They're up 3-zip, and it looks like they're cruising. They're up 3-1 in the series, and looks like they're on their way to the Western Conference Final. And they would await the winner of Edmonton and Calgary. Edmonton up 3-1 in that one with a chance to clinch tonight. And St. Louis finally scratches out a goal. Then they get another one, and they tie the game at 3-3. They lose the lead with a couple of minutes to go in the game in the third period. And somehow, with a minute left, they score a goal, send it to overtime, and win the game in overtime.
Wow.
That's the kind of stuff we were looking for from the Florida Panthers.
Yes,
How about some intestinal fortitude, gentlemen?
See,
None of this business where I'll pass the puck and I'll leave the responsibility to score to somebody else.
I'm not even trying to eschew blame whatever. The Heat will lose and the Celtics will win, but I feel different about the Heat losing than the Panthers. To me, the Heat are at least trying. I'm seeing the effort, and they're just falling flat. Injury, whatever, call it whatever you want. Celtics are better, whatever makes you happy. It looks like their effort. The Panthers, to me, it just looked like they were shell shocked. Like the Panthers did not look like the same team we saw all year, and that's why I was more frustrated with their loss than what I saw from the Heat last night.
Which would be probably a sign, which I don't think this will happen. There's been no talk of it whatsoever outside of here. I would imagine it's been mentioned somewhere else, but how do you bring this guy Brunette back after he was, as you said, I mean, look, shell-shocked himself and hard-pressed to come up with anything. How do you have your team go 0 for 25 on a power play and you don't try anything different? I mean, there's only so much you can do. I understand that, but I mean, shifting personnel, whatever. I mean, the plays are essentially the same. I mean, you watch the way the puck is distributed and how they handle the power play, but very, very hesitant all the way through. And you would think at some point the guy just sits everybody down that's on their so-called special teams and says, listen, guys, fire the fucking puck.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because that was my thing. And it was either May or Segredo, and they're like, look, I like the guy. He's being honest. But if he's being honest and saying nothing, that's not better. He would be honest. Well, we just didn't put it out there tonight. It's like, dude, you said that for 5 straight games.
Yeah, no, he reminded me of Joe Philbin. He really did.
Yeah,
Dave Hyde disputed that.
It was Hyde.
It was Dave Hyde was saying, he likes the honest answers and all of that. But, that's all fine. But how about having some solutions?
Yes, give something then. If you're going to be honest, okay. Nothing's changing.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We were nervous. You know what? The power play stinks. We didn't really do well on that.
Okay.
That was Smoking Joe. Well, you know what? We couldn't run the ball. We couldn't pass the ball. And it really went, we weren't that solid on defense. Okay, Joe. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Is that why you lost 27-10? Unbelievable.
Exactly.
With the Buffalo Bills for the 14th straight time? Come on. How about a little fire, a little emotion, some answers? But anyway, so very disappointing. All of this build up for the South Florida sports scene and how great it was going to be and the potential for 2 parades going down Biscayne Boulevard simultaneously. Panthers here and the Heat there. All look like they have completely dissipated and are going to end in somewhat bitter disappointment. Certainly the Panther series, to not even extend it to 5 games. So it was pretty poor and deflating. And this business with the Heat, I really did. I said it on the show yesterday. I was sort of confident that they were going to have a good game, bounce back. Now, I didn't realize the extent of these casualties when it comes to injury, because Jimmy Butler looked okay to me. I was assuming he was going to be even better in this game last night. He, as you said, very hesitant and reluctant.
That was my thing. I'm not trying to do the blame game. We've seen that. Look, last year's 2 teams in the finals were because of health, but that's how sports go. Whoever's the healthiest at the end usually wins, and that's fine. But that's when it hit me last night.
You sound like Marco Rubio making a case for load management.
That's when it just hit me last night, and I'm like, oh, it's not even worth getting frustrated. They were just jacking up shots and weren't even frustrated about it. They're like, yeah. I was like, okay.
Oh, it was a brick festival there.
It was bad.
My God. That was ugly. I just the whole notion of going 7 for 45 and chucking up 45 threes. I mean, how many possessions do you get in a basketball game? 80, 90? I don't know.
Yes.
What's the number? So half of your shots are bombs from 30 feet.
Take an 18-foot.
And you're not making them. It's not like you're on fire. Like all of a sudden, you get on one of those stretches like Steph Curry does, where you're unconscious, and it hadn't happened. It wasn't even close. But no, that was unfortunate. Very deflating evening on the local sports scene. Many other things happened, and there were some real bright spots too in a couple of areas. This, I think, University of Miami fans are all excited about, and probably they should be. The return of Alonzo Highsmith in some kind of executive capacity, if you will. I know it's not supposed to be a business, but let's face it, it is. But he is going to be in a position of responsibility for guiding the football program in terms of the way it operates. So now they have Mario Cristobal as coach, which people would say has to be an upgrade from any of the previous coaches that have been on the sidelines there for the last several years. Post Butch Davis. I mean,
Coker was sort of a fool. They won with him, but it wasn't him, and everyone else.
No, Coker. He was one of the nicest guys, like we always say about Dave Wannstedt. I mean, I really enjoyed being around Larry Coker. He treated me like a champ. Yeah. But and I thought he was really good at his job when he won his first 23 games. But it turned out not to be the case when all of a sudden Butch's guys turned into his guys, and then they turned into a long drought of success at the level that you would be anticipating a University of Miami team with its history to have. But so I have Cristobal and Alonzo Highsmith. He was with the Green Bay Packers, wasn't he, in some kind of personnel capacity?
Packers. He made him with the Seahawks recently. He's been with the NFL for a long time, and
is highly respected. Correct. Yes. I mean, yes. I would say generally, whenever you heard about Alonzo Highsmith or his name was mentioned, the usual following comments were, that guy's doing a really good job.
Yes.
So, or has some kind of intuition as to what you need to do to put together a successful NFL team. So I would imagine with his heartstrings being pulled towards the University of Miami and now in a similar type of role, trying to help develop and maintain success for the football program, that would be a very positive development.
It's a good thing.
Alonzo Highsmith comes up.
That's a big deal.
I like the ex-Canes coming back and being part of the program, though. I really do. I mean, they've done a really good job of trying to bring that about, Mario Cristobal. And, to an extent also, you would have to say that Mike McDaniel has tried to do that and exhibit that sort of thing with the Dolphins by bringing back some of the Dolphin greats that, as Surtain, Madison, and other former Dolphins now that were well-respected, Wes Welker, on the sidelines, trying to help out in different categories. I like that move. I applaud it. You know what? It's not like it's nepotism.
No, it's just
these guys seem to be qualified and also very good at what they do. And we know that certainly from being around Sam Madison, you know that he can be a very inspirational guy. Yep. And yet he has the coaching experience at a high level with the Chiefs. That you would have to think that he'll be a welcome addition. So kind of like what's happening there, University of Miami, bringing back the old guys, Alonzo Highsmith. Many people applauding that move today. So that was a nice thing to see here because certainly Alonzo invokes memories of the glory era there, and was one of those guys that changed positions under Howard Schnellberger. Oh, I thought he could run the ball. Right? He was like a defensive end or something. And next thing you know, he's a running back. He changed him around completely. So that was absolutely fantastic. Colin Kaepernick, is he relevant as a guy to come back into the NFL? I mean, I know it's a big story every time, especially with all of this racism and, very much in the headlines with the crazy and horrible incidents that have been taking place, like the thing in Buffalo, which... Wow, I mean that was too soon in the too recent past to then try to fathom and contemplate what happened here in Texas. I mean, wow, staggering. You see your boy Rubio, by the way. I mean, you couldn't look like any more of a fool. That's a disgrace, Marco Rubio. It really is. That dodging of all of these questions and evasive answers about nobody in these shootings ever bought a gun at a gun show. Yeah. That was his response to being asked a direct question about, Marco, are you finally in favor of having some kind of background check, and a delay in the ability to purchase an assault weapon? And his answer was, well, these guns, I guess they wanted to also invoke background checks at gun shows and online purchases.
Good.
Is that a horrible idea? Is that going to hurt anybody, Marco Rubio? I mean, please.
90% of America wants it. Every gun owner I know wants it. Like,
well, what a putz this guy looked like yesterday.
Like,
you know what? You know, it's only the second time I've ever been yelling at a television screen in my life.
Really?
I was screaming. I was like, "You asshole!" I mean, maybe it's inappropriate for some slug like me, a sportscaster here doing a stream on Ion Channel and the various audio channels that we have to be in judgment of a distinguished senator from Florida. But I mean, you couldn't help but start screaming, and it was the same kind of reaction I had, and this turned out to be dead wrong. Where when they announced Ted Ginn Jr. and I heard his name, and everybody was screaming, Quinn.
Get that.
And I'm waiting for the guy to say, and the Dolphins draft Brady Quinn, quarterback, Notre Dame.
Yep.
And next thing you know, it was Ginn, and there was Coco Cameron with that blank look on his face. Well, we think we got a good player, and it turned out he had a better career than
by a
Brady
lot.
Quinn.
Yeah, by a lot.
And this is not resentment based on the fact that Brady Quinn, we're the only guys that Brady Quinn ever beat out for a starting job when he took over that slot on the radio there. But it wouldn't have led us to this, which is great. All right, Dave Gurgle's going to join us. I have a trivia question for you, Lubie, and I'll give you one to ponder, people, during the break here before we get into Gurgles. And I'm assuming that this was not going to be one of his questions today. Join me in that one. Was not. Come on, Lubie, your timing's way off. Was not. Are you on a delay or something? Is that what it is?
Exactly when you said it. I don't know when you heard it, but when I said it,
I'm getting you on a delay then. So that's why we're walking all over each other. But yeah, I don't think it was going to be on one of Dave's questions today. I think this would have been, what would you say, a 3 or a 5-pointer? Are you ready for this, Lubie?
ready.
Okay. When Gerard Gallant, the former Panthers coach, took the Rangers to 50 wins and plus this season, a 50-plus win season, he became only the second coach in NHL history, to have won 50 or more games in his first year with two different teams.
That's
Following it? In other words, when he took over the expansion Las Vegas Golden Knights, he won 50 games first year.
Yes.
And now in his first year with the Rangers, he won 50 games. Only one other coach has done that with two teams, win 50 games plus in their first year with that team.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea who that guy is?
Oh, no, but I
choices?
get the question, but it's definitely a 5-pointer. I definitely need choices. Yeah, for 100%. Yeah. Mike Keenan? I don't know.
Is it obvious?
I would say Mike Keenan, or I don't even know another one outside of Mike Keenan. Oh, is it Gallant? Not Gallant.
Could it be Tortorella?
Quenneville?
Could it be?
I was going to say Quenneville. I mean, I would say Quenneville, I guess.
Could it? No. Well, Quenneville. Yeah, I guess. Could have been. Could have been a lot of guys, right? Could have been Barry Trotz.
Yeah. So, what's the answer?
Could have been. I want people to have a chance to think about it.
Okay, that's fine. Yes, give them a chance because I have no idea.
Barry Melrose could have done it, right? Barry Melrose when he went to the Kings.
Yeah, because he did Kings and he did the Lightning, and he won at both places. That is possible. Yes.
All right. All right. Think about that, Mike Lubitz.
Thinking.
Mr. Hockey. That's great.
That's me.
Gurgle's going to join us here. Do you have Gurgles? Can we pop them up? I want to see his smiling face before we hit this break here. Dave Gurgles, ladies and gentlemen, who's going to host with us the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge portion of the show. And Gurgs, how are you, my friend? We don't have the audio on Gurgles. We would have to turn on a microphone.
So whatever you did that time, do that.
Hit something.
You got me now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, you got me.
Yes, loud and clear.
I got some people listening on their way to Hazleton, Pennsylvania, to play golf.
Nice. Good morning.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes,
they figured out how to do it. These are
two guys that in 1969 we played in the Pennsylvania State Championship in the Palestra against Craig Littlepage in Cheltenham. Our biggest guy was 6'1", and they averaged 6'4". Jimmy Boros was our all-state basketball player with a bank shot like Sam Jones, and Bob Rakowski was a point guard. Well, the other guard dribbled back and forth, no 3-second rule, no 5-second rule, until the end of the buzzer. Bob Rakowski hit a jump shot. We led at the end of the first quarter 2-0.
Wow.
That was our only chance against this team. We got beat, I think, like 21-10 or something like that. But these two guys are on their way to play in golf up in Hazleton, said they'd tune in. Jimmy Boros is happy. He's a big Celtic Sam Jones fan. Bobby was probably a three-sport terrific player, and they're on their way to play golf. I usually join them for our high school tournament. I've known them for over 60 years.
Wow.
So a special hello to Jimmy Boros and Bob Rakowski, and hopefully they'll become regulars to tune into the Defo Show.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I like the fact that you used the old Dean Smith strategy and decided to play a little keep away as if you were in the driveway trying to keep the ball away from your little sister. And then on top of that, I mean, look what happened last night. Obviously, Pat Riley and McAdoo and company had seen clips of this game of your guys going to Hazleton because they used that same strategy last night, deciding not to make a single shot until like the fourth quarter, and came up with
the only difference
80 big
is
points.
we were 1 for 1 at the end of that quarter.
Yeah,
we made our only shot taken. Yeah, that's the difference.
How about this, man? 2 starters last 2 games, and I like both of these guys, Strus and Lowry. 1 for 28 for the Miami Heat. It's tough to win when your starters, 2 of your 5 starters are going to shoot like that across 2 games. Unbelievable. All right, Gergs, how are you feeling about the level of questions and the brain busting aspect of today's trivia challenge? Are you feeling really good about it?
I've got a really good question about Gerard Gallant that I've been saving up. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, sorry.
You know what's funny about that though? Lubie got the answer on the first try. Mike Keenan is the guy.
Oh, did I get it right? Really?
Wow.
Mike Keenan. I mean, Lubie's gotten so deeply into hockey that he now is well versed in like obscure, minuscule, kind of trivial, literally hockey history.
Oh my God! I just threw off the
And he came up with the name. I mean, you could have come up with a zillion guys there that had attempted to do that, or been in a category where they might have been able to accomplish that. But Mike Babcock, right? Maybe he got could have been one of those guys. But Mike Keenan was the only other guy to win 50 games his first year. Nice. With 2 different teams, besides the guy that we canned a long time ago in such a disgraceful and unceremonious and non-dignified fashion when they threw Gerard Gallant off the team bus in Saskatchewan. You remember that incident, Gergs? And then his bag was on the bus, and Jaromir Jagr, who no doubt had bet on the other team that night, just fired the bag and said, "Hey, Jerry, you want your shit?" and he fired it back out the window, and they left the guy there with like cab fare. I mean, you can't be any more indignant to a coach than that, can you?
Yeah, they showed him on the late news in Canada that night, a lonely figure having coffee and a donut in a Tim Hortons that someone picked him up and dropped him off at. Yeah,
right. And he had a blanket over his head like one of those guys that goes up in a helicopter on Deadliest Catch. Has been in the Bering Straits there for like a half an hour, and
oh my God,
looks like a fish stick. Unbelievable. Looks like DiCaprio did in those scenes in the Titanic when he finally was like frozen to death. All right, we're not going to freeze anybody out. Give us a call here if you want to play. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. Dave Gurgly. Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. It's the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, of course, brought to you by the great people at Hialeah Park. Did you venture down there for the Preakness, Gurgles, by any chance? And how did you do?
I was there early. Oh, here's Freddie the Flamingo saying hello. I was there early that day to get the form, make some bets, and then get out of there. But I went back at night to see if my bets were good. And instead I said, well, let me go to the casino. And why not? The place was hopping. Yeah, Hialeah Park, my favorite place. Again, you go back into history, but then you come forward to the future. The place is looking great.
Yep. No, absolutely fantastic, man. I love it just walking through the doors there. And then, of course, it's always exciting, whatever's going on. And that really is a perfect setup for simulcasting, the Champion Simulcasting Room. I remember when Frankie took me around the place long ago when they were first putting something together there and going to have simulcasting in Hialeah Park. They had just really gotten a casino license. And essentially, the room was just really like the Brass Rail Bar and maybe a little bit of an extension of that. And then they just broadened the whole horizon of the thing, and it really became a magnificent place, including you could even hang out on the patio there like in the old days and go out there, and people would be smoking Perdomo cigars or reading the racing form, having a couple of cocktails, and it's absolutely fantastic. And it's one of those bars, too, the Brass Rail Bar and the Champion Simulcasting Room, where you're not afraid to say, yeah, a round for the boys. And then you realize, oh shoot, I'm down to my last $20, and I needed to bet the exact in this race. But you can squeeze by there at a very, very reasonable price on all of the great drinks that they pour. Great food and drink all over the place. Casino's fantastic. The Mustang loves it. I don't have to talk her into going down to Hialeah Park, because very, very favorable the results that you achieve there, because they have the loosest slots. I would have to venture to say that. I don't know if that's a claim that they can make. But you know how it is in Vegas. You'll say loosest slots in the city. And it seems that way at Hialeah Park. A lot of jackpots being won. Steve Calabro's been in the industry a long time. Really a great guy. You would have to put it up there with Magic Johnson's smile, right, Steve Calabro?
Yes.
One of those infectious smiles.
He looks like a great grandson of Ernie Kovacs, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
but he does have that infectious smile. Even when Hialeah Park is losing to the patrons, he loves it.
He doesn't mind, man. He's got like a security guy taking a wheelbarrow full of cash out to somebody's car, and he's like, "Hey, come on back anytime," which I guess they would want you to. But no, it's a lot of fun. Hialeah Park's a great place. A lot of great stories. Yet you can kind of feel the history seeping out of the walls there, and at the same time, you can see yourself plugged into the present and the future. Great entertainment opportunities also. It's Hialeah Park. HialeahPark.com is where you'll find all the information about upcoming events, shows, concerts, music, boxing. We hope El Boxeo returns soon. Haven't heard from Frankie on that, but I'd imagine that's already in the works. So very exciting elements taking place there and events at Hialeah Park. All right, we're going to come back with the trivia challenge. You can dial us up, 954-417-0070. Dave's going to handle the questions there. Lubie, brilliant with his Mike Keenan response. How did you come up with that, Lubie? How did you even think of Mike Keenan?
Because I know he coached with the Rangers when they finally won the Cup again. He coached with the Panthers, and didn't he coach like 4 other places? So I'm like,
he was all over the place. Yeah,
where he could have done it somewhere twice. It just made sense.
Tortorella would have been a good guess. No,
Tortorella.
Yeah. One of those guys that was a quick fix, and then after a while, people got tired of being verbally abused. So hockey players joining like a Me Too type of movement to get rid of this guy. Hard to envision the way those guys suck it up in regard to pain. All right, coming back with the trivia challenge. Get ready. People, dial us up, 954-417-0070. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, the great Dave Gurgles Gurgley with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, returning in a moment. Now that. The time. It's 7:42. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Mr. Pentangeli, were you a member of the Corleone family? Did you serve under Capo regime under Vito Corleone, also known as the Godfather?
I never knew no Godfather.
Mr. Pentangeli, you are contradicting a sworn statement you previously made to me and signed. I ask you again, sir, here and now under oath, were you at any time a member of a crime organization headed by Michael Corleone?
I don't know nothing about that. Oh, I was in the olive oil business with his father, but that was a long time ago, that's all.
We have a sworn affidavit. We have it. your sworn affidavit that you murdered on the orders of Michael Corleone. Do you deny this confession?
Look, the FBI guys, they promised me a deal. So I made up a lot of stuff about Michael Corleone, because that's what they wanted. But it was all lies. Everything. And I kept saying, Michael Corleone did this, and Michael Corleone did that. So I said, yeah, sure.
It's now time for the Defo Show.
It's very appropriate, Mike Lubitz, probably using some of those same sentiments, probably ordering dinner as off to Italy after the show, actually. So it should be a lot of fun. Dave Gurgles Gurgley. Were you unaware of that? That I'm going to be on Italian soil, probably, about 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Who is? You are?
Yeah. Heading over there with the Mustang.
Where are you going?
Going to be starting out in Venice for 2 nights, then 2 nights in Florence, and 4 nights in Rome. Yes.
4 nights.
So when you get to Florence, I think you'll be able to, if you get a chance, go to the Uffizi Museum.
Uffizi Museum. What is that? A
Uffizi,
tribute to harness racing?
No. It's the artwork is unbelievable. In Venice, when I was there with the shipper way back, we stayed right on the canal, and they had an orange cocktail in Venice that was unbelievable. And in Rome, well, you can go where they had the old harness races years ago, but the Colosseum's a must. And just any little trattoria, the food is unbelievable. So you're going to have a terrific time. Good for you.
I think Lucien Fontaine used some of those same tactics that you saw in Ben-Hur while he was racing at Roosevelt.
And there's in Rome, there's also the 7 Vestal Virgins. So you can take the Mustang to what we used to call the before and after. You may get a kick out of that.
You know me. I mean, I get excited like when we were in Lexington, when we, just arbitrarily came across the Red Mile. So, that's my idea of a landmark or, some destination of choice is, something that involves at least pari-mutuel wagering, if not just a flat-out casino with simulcasting. And it's going to be tough for me. I get the shakes if I go like 5-6 days without betting on a horse race. I don't know how you are about that, Gurgles, because you've done some world travels now. Did you find that you had to resort to any kind of, psycho type of drugs to calm yourself down?
No, I was.
Realized you had made a bet?
I was there actually 10 days. I went to Milan, Florence, Venice, Tuscany, everything. And in July, I just booked. I'm going to the Maldives.
Oh, nice.
A 31-hour flight near Tahiti. Yep.
Yeah, Shirley wants to go there so bad.
Nice. Overwater bungalow with my own infinity pool, and a young lady and me are going to go there. And the good news is she split the airfare too, which is good.
Nice.
Wow, where do you find these women that are willing to go Dutch? It's incredible. Now, of course, the fable story about the time that you had that girl and you were about to just nail her in the heart-shaped in the room pool that you had ordered up, especially for the occasion.
Caesars, yep.
Caesar's Palace, man, like a room not even Sinatra could dream of having. I think even Michael Jackson was on the floor below you. And sure enough, she tells you what, as you're in the pool naked, she says what?
I'm seeing someone.
Yeah.
I thought, great. Great. What you just had. I thought, what, you had cataract surgery? I didn't know what she meant by that.
I'm seeing someone I don't want to see anymore is what you were thinking. Why don't you take a hike there? There's a room down there at the Taj Mahal that you can go stay at.
Like, what the hell are you doing here?
And, the comedy show's only $10. It may be B-level comedians, but nonetheless, you might get a laugh out of it because, you're out of here. All right, let's get it going here. Dave Gurgles Gurgley, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We're ready for our first set of questions. And when there is an open line, which there is only one line, so as soon as you hear a guy hang up, dial us up at 954-417 0070. We'll play as many as we can, as we usually like to do, for the Landlubber's gift certificate and the fine distinction of being this like being an undisputed champion. It's like you're the Canelo Alvarez of trivia, where you've won all 4 belts, even though you've probably lost 5 of your last 10 fights. Somehow the scorecards always come out a little bit in a fugazi fashion. Judge Adelaide Byrne, Wow, where did they find her? How much money did she make from Don King and various promoters over the years, including whoever Canelo's connections are right now in terms of promotion? Because he split from Oscar, so now you always see Oscar like trashing him, Oscar De La Hoya. But those scorecards were pretty funny. All right, we're ready to go here. Dave Gurgles Gurgley. We don't have the Polyman. He has vowed to be back shortly. And maybe by the time I get back, I won't be, it'll be you and Lubie next week. But, by the time I get back 2 weeks from today, I'll be back before that. But the next Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, maybe, what do you think? Would you put a line on the Polyman being a part of that program? The Polyman?
Yes.
What are you going to say?
Same line as the Panthers to win this year's Stanley Cup.
All right, Mr. Blutarski, 0.0 just won't cut it. All right, in honor, though, of our beloved friend here, not that he passed away or anything, but, he hasn't been on the show for a while, but we love the guy, and he's a real gentleman, and I think destined to make it in this medium. I really do. If there is a medium that lent itself towards his Dennis Farina-type rugged looks, and the great voice, the Polyman would be the master of this sort of stuff and probably one of the hottest influencers on YouTube.
Definitely.
Imagine that the Polyman be selling everything, right? You'll see the Polyman selling Flex Seal on TV. This stuff works, man. It really sticks. Look at this, no water. All right. In honor of the Polyman, we begin the game in the traditional fashion, or somewhat traditional fashion, with Dave Gurgles Gurgley and some
Easy Baseball. And again, hello to Jimmy Boris, Bob Rakowski. Hit him straight up in Hazleton. All right, Easy Baseball. Yeah. This longtime TV voice of the Atlanta Braves put it succinctly when he said, during a blowout when the Braves were getting beat by 10 runs, he said to all the TV folks at home, if you promise to patronize our advertisers, you're dismissed. What's that? Skip Carey, Mariah Carey, Chip Carey, or Carey back old Kentucky?
Oh, very nice. All right, let's roll around a phone scrambler here, just for effect. It lands on Mike. You're up first here on today's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. A
is correct. Good job, Mike. Way to sniff that out.
All right, Mike, horse racing, true or false, your 1 point question. Believe it or not, the winner of the Preakness Stake, early voting, got the Woodlawn Vase, and the Woodlawn Vase is the most valuable trophy in all of American sports. Wow. True or false?
I'll say true.
It's true.
That's right.
Wow.
$1 million it's valued at.
Has to be worth more. I know you said American sports, but has to be worth more than that schmutzy-looking doorstop replica World Cup for soccer. You ever see that trophy? I mean...
Yes.
If they had gone to Orvieto's trophies, games, and more, they would have had a much more spectacular looking thing. I mean, for all the attention that's paid to the World Cup, how do they have a trophy that is an outright disgrace? Literally. I mean, you wouldn't even throw it through a window if, you had just lost a tough photo at the track. I mean, forget about it. What a piece of crap that looks like. All right, 2 for 2 here. Mike going for 5.
All right, hoops, Mike. In the first 3 games of the Mavs versus the Warriors, Luka Doncic scored 40 or more points in all 3 of their losses. He was the first player to score 40 or more points in his team's 3 playoff losses since...
Who?
Was that Dominic Wilkins, Karl Malone, Allen Iverson, or Rick Barry?
Wow.
Dominique.
I'm going to say
That's
Allen
a great
Iverson.
guess. It's not Mike Keenan, Lubie. Believe it or not, you have to go all the way back to Rick Barry of the San Francisco Warriors.
Oh, yeah, he didn't get a lot of help.
I thought about Barry, but I also thought about Backwheeling Epicenter in
exactly.
the Kentucky Derby. All right, that leaves you with a shot at 7. A nice pace to set here to open up the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, Michael.
All right, baseball. Which Major League Baseball team drafted Tom Brady?
All right.
What's that?
Good one.
The Boston Red Sox, the Detroit Tigers, the San Francisco Giants, or the Montreal Expos?
Oh.
Giants.
You'd have to think
No.
Tigers.
I would have said the
Expos.
Yes, Montreal Expos in the 18th round.
Jesus.
Wow.
Oh, Mike, thanks. You may be in the finals.
Interesting stuff. I mean, you dug up stuff deeper than this Gerard Gallant, Mike Keenan thing, which Lubie nailed without even getting the choices. Pretty impressive there. All right, down us up if you want to play. It's 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070 if you'd like to play this round of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, brought to you by the great people at Hialeah Park, and also Dave Gurgles Gurgly by Perdomo Cigars, which, nice prop. Worked onto the set here. Product placement. Excellent.
Perdomo Cigars, yeah. I've gotten a nice Lot 23 right here, one of the milder cigars that I favor. You might like the 20th anniversary with a Maduro wrapper, Connecticut wrapper, Maduro wrapper, Robusto, Churchill, Double Corona. They got them all. They make them perfect one at a time. Cuban seed tobacco grown in Nicaragua. The Perdomo family now in their 4th generation with Nick Jr. aboard, and they are a local company that is known nationwide. You can find them at 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the Palmetto on the south side, a little bit east of the Home Depot, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Or call them 305-627-6700. When you visit them in person, you'll get a chance to see that great humidor in there. Lauren, Nick Jr.'s lovely wife at the desk. She'll guide you into the humidor built by our late great friend, the Mad Dog Jim Mandich. And you can say, man, these cigars are terrific. Perdomo Cigars, today, tomorrow, guess what? Father's Day right around the corner. What a great gift. Go over there and get a gift card. Get a gift pack of different cigars for your father, your grandfather, your son, whatever. Put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
Well done, Dave Gurgles Gurgly. It sounds like something that you've spoken about before with the same level of glowing and sincere praise for Perdomo Cigars. An absolutely sensational Horatio Alger story, the whole history of Perdomo Cigars, and couldn't be happier for the success of Nick Perdomo and the whole Perdomo family. And you're right. I remember when the Mad Dog put that thing together. And he said, "This is going to be fabulous." Did he talk a little bit like Jack Webb, the Mad Dog? I don't know.
Jack Webb with a little higher octave. Yeah, a little higher octave than Jack Webb. Yeah.
All right, more players to come here and more questions to come on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Dave Gurgles Gurgly doing a fine job there. Those were some real brain busters there. You fed Mike.
Oh, you got
Mike
me.
Lubie Lubitz, who is now a hockey expert. No, I would put you toe-to-toe with Eddie Olczyk. I mean,
there you go.
not on horses, but definitely on hockey.
Supposedly next week, he's going to come in wearing a Billy Ray hat.
I can. I don't know why anyone would want that.
No, I mean, one thing about Lubie, he accepts his medicine well, right? Once he gets on the Dilaudid drip, with regard to some of his sports teams, and resigns himself to, the idea that they're going out, he handles it pretty well. He does. As long as there are what seem to be legitimate excuses.
Oh, yeah. It's an excuse, I'm sure. But what do you
away a loss, yeah.
I mean, they shot like 15 of 80 or something. Like, what do you like? What do you do?
I remember Gurgles sinking like 5 straight free throws from his knees. Did you try that technique in that game you were playing with the boys from Hazleton? You were in the Palestra in Philadelphia playing this game?
No, but when we went and played Hazleton at their home court, Hazleton had or maybe it was Tamaqua, one of these little Indian towns. They had a dressing room
that would be Native American
below the court. So we got dressed, and my coach would always let me lead the team out because I never got into games. I was the 15th man. He said, "All right, Gurgly, lead us out." So I led us out a door that I didn't know, and it was in December, and there we were in our short warm-ups outside in the snow next to the bus. And that's when I asked Coach Terry Gurman, "Coach, when can I go in?" And he used to tell me all the time, "When my brother, the hunchback, straightens out." So my chances to play weren't that great.
That's great. That's my game line.
That's a good one, yeah. Hey, Quasi.
Exactly. Quasi.
What hump?
You might have a guy named Quasi.
My God.
First pick overall, Quasimodo.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, no problem there. Comes out, hugs Adam Silver, and then lurches his way over, to the sidelines there to be interviewed by who's the girl that's always fawning all over the draft picks there?
Oh.
No, she's great.
Colbert. Susie Colbert.
Susie Colbert, yeah.
That's your favorite.
Oh, please Tell us about your journey.
Your story.
You're ready to, say, hey, this looks like a contestant on The Bachelorette. All right, we're coming back with more with Dave Gurgles Gurgley, brought to you by Hialeah Park, of course, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, great place to check out. I bet Alonzo back in town now, Alonzo Highsmith. Bet he jogs down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill a couple of times. Get familiar with the whole vibe down there. So don't scratch that off your list of destinations that are on your bucket list. And if you're traveling to the Keys this Memorial Day weekend, wow, is that going to be dynamite down there? Wow, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104. Great food and drink, great
Yeah,
fun,
the professor was there last weekend. He sent me a picture of like massive nachos, and I'm like, oh, that's bullshit. Isn't that Jimmy Johnson's? I'm like, I didn't get the invite.
and that's great testimony to the how wonderful it is, because the professor is an accomplished chef himself and a restaurant owner here of a great place locally here in Pompano Beach called The Foundry on Atlantic Boulevard, right by the bridge there. Outstanding restaurant. I think they blew Houston's right into the canal there.
They did.
Because it's always packed over there. So he knows of what he speaks, and if he's going back to Jimmy Johnson's on an unsolicited visit.
Even there.
Yeah.
He's just there. Like, what the hell?
Nice. The nachos, man, they reign supreme. Are you like me, Dave? And I think Lubie's this way too, where, you don't like the nachos when there's only like a bunch of stuff at the top. And then when you get, about a little ways down into the thing, there's nothing. It's all dry chips.
It's the worst.
Well,
just a facade.
For me, it's funny you mentioned this past Sunday, I had a young lady in town that I grew up with, and she was staying on 17th Street in Fort Lauderdale. And I said, let's meet for dinner. We went to Carlos and Pepe's.
Oh, that was a fabled place,
tradition. And I had crab meat nachos.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's nice.
Unbelievable.
Good. But they're different, though. They
it
look
wasn't
like
queen.
raviolis,
It wasn't queen
those.
crab. It was king crab too. Really, really good. Yep.
There you go. That's why I'm watching so much Deadliest Catch. I'm thinking what those guys had to go through for me to eat this one crab leg. It's worth $32.50. It really is. All right, we're coming back with more on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We'll play more, guys. And ladies, if you want to play, feel free. I don't know if we had I think we had one female player so far in the history of the Ion Channel version of the show.
Oh, we had May.
One or two, maybe. Yeah.
And then we had another one. We had two different women.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can solicit some more here. And not that we're biased. We welcome anybody at 954-417-0070. He's Mike Lubie. Lubitz. Dave Gurgles Gurgley is the master of ceremonies on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. I'm Jeff Deforrest, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that. Oh, we work in about 3 live spots into the one. How do we do that? All blended together. It's 8:02.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante, the Belmont's now 1.8 miles. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici just switched the stick.
Switch
The
the
only way
stick.
to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here on the Defo Show on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, Dave Gurgly with us on these Thursdays, and the Thursday edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. That, of course, intro clip came from the operatic, just brilliance of the Polyman, Paul Massell, who, wow. I mean, would he not have made it big? I mean, speaking of going to Italy, if he was in the opera, the Italian opera, can you imagine?
Wow.
Now, is that a must-do thing? I mean, to try and find your way into some opera house there? I mean, what would you say?
There is, the most famous one is La Scala, and I went there for an opera when I was in Italy. It's unbelievable.
What caused you to do that?
What caused you to do that?
Well, I had a young lady travel with me. It was so famous. And then we went, and don't you know, the opera was in English. I was so disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't. It was horrible. It was horrible. Yes, I wanted
a guy had a Brooklyn
Italian,
accent?
and just yeah, no, it was some guy that was lost on a boat named Peter or something. It was absolutely horrible. But La Scala, and when you go to Florence, that is the home of gelato. You have to have the gelato. They have alcoholic gelato. They got everything. And alcoholic gelato everywhere you go in Florence is unbelievable. But you're going to have a terrific time. And it's great for you in your walk of life because you walk everywhere. And go in every little side church, and the artwork there is stuff that Paulie probably could steal and get out forever if he wanted to. Every little church is unbelievable. Unbelievable. You'll have a great time.
Named Michelangelo did this.
Yeah.
It's a sketch. I found it in the wall of the museum. I just happened to loosen it with a screwdriver. And
what a great time you're going to have.
Hide it under my shirt.
You ever notice this? I think this is a truism about life, though, that if a guy has attended the opera, it was never his idea. It was always that of his female, accompaniment. And, rarely would you say, oh, hey, Mustang, why don't we go to the opera tonight? I don't recall ever making a statement like that to any of the women I've known in my life.
No. I misunderstood her. I thought she said we were going to a screening of A Night at the Opera with the Marx Brothers. I was all in.
The Italian Marx Brothers, that version must be pretty funny. Topo Gigio, man, that's what I think of when I think of Italy, the Italian mouse on the Ed Sullivan Show. All right, we're ready for more players. You can dial us up, 954-417-0070. It's the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here on the Defo Show, and so far, nobody with a total worthy of being in the finals, although I don't know if that's saying much. It's kind of like the Heat's three-point shooting percentage last night. We've only played one guy. So here we go. Our next set of questions, the great Dave Gurgly.
And golf. That's in honor of Bob and Jimmy on their way to playing. This soon-to-be collegiate golfer on signing a name and likeness contract with Hooters, providing as a chip off the old block, said, I'm proud to continue my dad's iconic relationship with Hooters. What's that?
All right.
John Daly Jr., Bill Bailey, Jerry Bailey, or Bailey's Irish Cream?
And here's the random phone scrambler to decipher our next player. He's alive. He's alive. Yeah. No need for resuscitation here. We have Andy. Andy, how are you? Where are you, Andy? How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm good. I'm actually in a hotel in Boca.
Oh, look at you. Thank God. All right. Good.
Very nice. Did you lose your home? I mean, while you were in the hospital, what happened?
Oh, my God.
No, first time starter,
Oh, nice. You took it to the Boca Resort? Did you take it to the opera last night? I mean, what's going on with your kid?
Yeah, I shot Bennett from the hospital bed to Max Struess last night. This guy had no conscience. I mean, he breathed the row, and then he limped out like he hurt his back. It's like a guy at the park, like when his girlfriend comes down and says, you got to come home. And he starts chucking like 5 shots in a row in the wind. I mean, the guy was in a rush. I mean, it was retarded, man.
The wind was against on the Heat's end in the second half.
Yeah, exactly.
That was always troubling playing outdoor basketball. All right, you have 1 point, Andy. You're in the game. Welcome to the show. Good to have you on.
All right, Andy, football, true or false? LA Rams coach Sean McVay's Ukrainian fiancée, Veronica Koeman, believe it or not, has Putin toilet paper. True or false?
Yeah, that's true, because I met her on UkrainianDating.com. And,
that is true.
She put that in her.
That is true. Well done.
She put that in her bio. Yeah, she put that in her bio.
I love Putin.
I got
Quite the
Putin
babe, by the way,
no.
this woman.
She hated Putin. That's why she got the toilet paper.
Oh, to wipe her ass.
Exactly. You got it. Yes, you're exactly right.
There you go. All right, 2 for 2, Andy. You're on fire.
Hoops. Shaquille O'Neal in his entire career made just 1 3-point shot, and it came versus who? Was it the Magic, the Knicks, the Clippers, or the Bucks?
Oh God!
It said the Magic.
Gotta be the Magic, right?
I'm thinking Knicks.
No, it was a turnaround shot at the buzzer against the Milwaukee Bucks, as a matter of fact.
Wow. I was thinking, the Knicks, have become one of those teams that always suffers these kind of indignities, and that Shaq would have made his only career 3 against them. But all right, Milwaukee Bucks, 2 going for 7 here, Andy, and the lead in this edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
Let's stay on that same theme in baseball. Derek Jeter, in his career, hit only 1 grand slam, and that came versus.
Ooh. Did you have a book of ones or something?
Yeah, the Angels, the Red Sox, the Cubs, or the Tigers.
1 slam by Jeter.
The Cubs.
Cubs. Correct.
Nice. Look at you.
Yes. 2008 versus Joe Borowski. Well done.
I shook up the world. I mean, he went Muhammad Ali.
You asked me that question. You asked me that question 3 years ago, and I got it right there.
I did, but back then you were getting intravenous. I wasn't sure if you'd remember.
And the shock treatment, I'm sure, has taken its toll, Andy, over the years. I know it did with me in terms of the memory loss. All right, Andy with 7 now leading the pack, and we'll likely be coming back to Andy for the championship round. If you want to challenge Andy or anybody else that's played the game, dial us up at 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070 if you'd like to join us here on the phone line. So are you buying for a second, Dave Gurgly, that Derek Jeter is going to Subway and taking advantage of their $5 footlong opportunities and maybe ordering the fake tuna sub? It doesn't seem like a kind of deal that you would see Jeter getting involved in.
Yeah, I think it's as they say, all about the Benjamins. Him,
there you go.
Brady, Barkley, Steph Curry, the gymnast. They've come a long way since Jared in a better way, that's for sure, no doubt about it. Why can't you and I and Paulie and Lubie get in one of those deals? Maybe
because we would want to endorse a much more accomplished place like La Spada's original Hoagie here.
Yeah. Or chances are we might get a spot with Lums, but we get a shot there. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had that guy. He's back in action with some kind of donut shop that's infused with alcohol. He's always got some kind of innovative idea working here, including back then his parents, I guess, started the thing. With the beer steamed hot dogs, which were they actually any better? They weren't bad, right? Lum's hot dogs. I prefer the New York variety grilled, but they were all right, weren't they, as a substitute?
They were very good, and you got a nice cold schooner of beer too when you went there. They had Lum's back in Miami Beach, I know was the start, and they had one in my little town of Allentown back in Pennsylvania, and it was quite popular. Yeah.
How far were you from Chester, PA, in your?
Chester is west of Philly, so we were about an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, so you weren't inclined to drive the hour and 20 to visit the original La Spada's original Hoagies, which would make it double original.
Oh, no kidding.
Wow. Yeah, which began with a guy opened up a shop in Chester, PA. Then he came down to Orlando, and friends of ours, Gail and Harry, bought the place and the whole rights to the whole thing. And they started it down here, and the rest is history. All right, ready for our next set of questions here. We have Andy. Good job pulling that out. I don't know if that was a repeat question or is just a great guess, but nonetheless, he got it done.
For him.
7 points for Andy. He's in the lead, and stranded in a hotel in Boca Raton with a babe naked in bed, first-time starter, and he has to stay on hold so he can play the championship round of the Trivia Challenge. Will she be impressed if he comes away, like in second place, which doesn't make you a loser in this game? Although no prizes will be rewarded for second place. All right? Yeah, you're a loser. Let's face it, you're a fucking loser.
Yeah.
All right. No, we don't mean to. What's wrong? As long as you participate, you're a winner. So let's get into it. Our next set of questions, the great Dave Gurgles Gurgley.
Hoops, this college basketball coach on his team travels said, we went to Alaska once, and they made us honorary Alaskans. Then we went to Hawaii, and they made us honorary Hawaiians. Not sure what to expect this year. We're going to the Virgin Islands. Was that the great Abe Lemons, Meadowlark Lemons, Jack Lemons, or you'll get this in Italy, Lemon Jello?
Yes, Lemon Jello.
Wow. Or Mike Lemongello, the bowler of some distinction. And
That's
then,
right.
No, Mike Lemongello was a singer. Pete Lemongello, I believe, was a bowler. We'll ask this guy as he is on board now as our next player, the random phone scrambler, landing on, surprisingly, Lenny the Chronic. Lenny, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How's everybody? Good to hear Andy.
Doing well, man. Yeah, good to have you with us.
I heard the girl in Andy's hotel room just said, "I'm seeing someone."
You imagine he's on hold this whole time, just saying, "Yeah, look, I got to play the finals here. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I know you were great last night." You have 1 point, Chronic, and you're in the game, very much so, and alive for the Landlubber's gift certificate.
All right, Lenny, golf. PGA winner Justin Thomas, believe it or not, was recently featured in an article in Cigar Aficionado smoking a cigar, a habit he said he picked up at Alabama in college. Whenever they beat Tennessee in a golf match, the team would smoke a cigar, and they beat them every time they played them. True or false?
I'm going to say false.
That's true?
That's true.
Oh.
That's true, yep.
I thought you were going to say a Perdomo. Yeah, if he was smoking a Perdomo.
Well, if I had said a Perdomo, it still would have been false. But he smoked a cigar back in Alabama when he beat Tennessee.
That's crazy.
Very
Paulie
nice.
would be proud of me today. Good.
Very improbable win there. Yeah, you put one over on Lenny the Chronic. So Lenny, you have one going from four. All trends reversing.
All right, Lenny. Golf, your 3-point question. Lee Trevino won 6 majors during his career. Coincidentally, 3 of the 4 majors he won twice, which is the only major that escaped the great Lee Trevino.
Good question.
The PGA, the Masters, the U.S. Open, or the British Open?
I'm going to go British.
I'm going to go U.S.
No, believe it or not, he never won the green jacket. Never won the Masters.
Wow.
Really?
Never won the
Wow.
Masters, huh?
That's crazy.
Very good. All right, shot at 6 points here, second place, Lenny, if you get this one right.
Yeah.
All right, Lenny, I know you're a big baseball fan. Are you going to be there tomorrow night, Lenny, or tonight at Landlubbers?
Oh, Landlubbers.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
He's the man.
I'm thinking about making an appearance there.
Come on down.
I'm thinking about making an appearance. I'm thinking about making an appearance. And Lubie, send me when we finish. Send me the exact address, Lubie, and I'm going to see if I can make an appearance. And what time you start?
Okay.
All right, very good.
All right.
Yeah, this would be great. A guest appearance by? Are you kidding me? You're going to be able to introduce Dave Gurgles
I'm going to
Gurgley
try and
to
make
the
it
crowd?
down there. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, it would be up there for
Lenny,
you. Up there.
Your 5-point question, Lenny, in horse racing, of course. Which of the following was the last horse to win the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont, but not the Preakness?
All right.
What's that? Swale, Charismatic, Timber Country, or Thunder Gulch?
Let's go with, I was going to say Swell, but I'm going to go Thunder Gulch.
I'm going to go Gulch.
Yes.
Yes.
1995, and you know who beat him? Who beat him in the Preakness was his stablemate, Timber Country. Both of them trained by Wayne Lucas. Well done, Lenny. I knew you were part of a horse thing, but I thought you were the back end.
Is D. Wayne Lucas really alive? I mean, could you tell if he was actually alive, or
he is.
was that a Weekend at Bernie's type of thing? D. Wayne Lucas. When he went down to the winner's circle, one of his horses won one of the races prior. Right? Where was his filly, by the way, in the Preakness Stakes? Gurgles. A lot of people liked the filly as much as they liked Epicenter, and then of course early voting got support. It was weird. The betting in the Preakness was absolutely bizarre, was it not? I mean, it's one thing the Derby; it's spread out all over the place. You have 20 horses, and you have horses that have gone undefeated in stakes races, and they're 20-1. But the Preakness was a field of 9 with a couple of horses that had sort of defined themselves a little bit in the Derby. And Epicenter, obviously, was, I think, a deserving favorite off of his Derby performance, considering that Rich Strike wasn't there and he had beaten all of the other horses and been pretty consistent. But outside of that, like that Fenwick was 50-1. And I look on the board there early in the morning, and he's 7-1.
That's crazy.
Who was sending it in on Fenwick? 50-1 down to 7-1 is a big number in a giant pool. I mean, that's some serious money.
Ken asked that day. Ken's like, "Who's Fenwick?" Like people are buying it down like crazy.
And even my horse, my hunch play of the century, which unfortunately was a non-menacing 5th, I believe, Skippy Longstocking, who had he been part of the trifecta, we would have really hammered this race. Piscataway Ray and me ended up cashing a ticket for a few sticks because at the last second, and I mentioned this yesterday, is this not the ultimate gambling mitzvah? And it bodes well for Ray's future in all endeavors of degeneracy, because he put in a bet for us. He had some pool money, but he originally only showed me like $60 worth of pool tickets of the 200 that he had to invest. And he said, well, you know what? I don't really have that great of a feeling for the race. You don't either. So why don't we just hold the rest of this money for the Belmont? All right. Then, without me knowing it, he also bet, subsequent to that, $100 to win on early voting, who went off at better than 6-1, almost 7-1. No, I guess, a little under 6-1, which was a nice price on this horse, $13.40. So the 100 gets you back like 600 and change. And he texts me, is this okay, this bet? And I was at a party, and I didn't see his text until after the race was already won by early voting. Now, I would have said fine, because I told him he had full authority to bet the deuce. So now, technically, did he bet that on his own, or was that pool money?
Well, no, if he hadn't,
that's the question.
Yeah,
technically, what would you say? I never acknowledged that this was okay, even though he asked, but I didn't see the message either, and I assumed he was going to bet the deuce.
It has to be pool money, because he has to know that you would have agreed to it. So I would say it has to be pool money. Yes.
Yeah, right. Because I had told him, bet whatever the hell you want. Because I don't really, I wanted to include Skippy Longstocking in like some exotics, but I didn't have any great feeling for this horse being in the money or, winning the race. But I just couldn't have lived with myself if I stood by and watched Skippy.
Yeah,
and everybody's yelling, "Come on, Skippy! Come on, Skippy!" My dog's name, and I don't have a dime on it. Right? I'm standing there like a putz, like Marco Rubio when he was answering those questions the other day about possible, advances in, trying to curtail some of these mass shootings. But no, never mind that. These measures are unnecessary, he said. Anyway, it turned out great. The whole thing. He ends up saying, "Hey, of course you were in on this," because naturally after the race, I said, "Yeah, I was in," and went out of his way to meet me so he could give me the cash a couple of days later.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
good.
That's nice. So I think if you don't make that move, like if you're one of those guys, I don't want to mention like Larry the Leaper. Or that one time that a certain other friend of ours said, "Oh no, I bought that ticket for myself," when Paulie had Barbaro to win the Derby, and we hit the try for like 5,500, and then this gentleman who went out and made the bet, a certain guy who was known to maybe exaggerate the truth a little bit, pulls another ticket out of his pocket and then claims, "Oh no, that's the one I bet for myself."
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and he kept the money too.
Wow,
unbelievable. Polyman and I, not ones to bitch and moan, but that came under the heading of permanently lose my number, and that was it. So a Mensch-like move. You're saying it's a gambling mitzvah that Piscataway Ray paid off on it.
Absolutely,
I agree, man. I applaud him, and that's why I saluted him like 5 days in a row now since that happened. All right, you want to try another player, and then we'll go to the finals? You got time?
Sure.
All
Yeah.
right, good. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's
I got
fire off
time.
another set of questions.
All right, this one people.
I thought I was killing time going to the finals there with that story, but
that's why.
No. As Paulie Man said, we get a lot of people requesting dodgeball. This comedian, on his theory of the sport of dodgeball, said, "Remember the rules to dodgeball. If you're fat or have glasses, don't show up because you'll die." What's that? Jay Moore, Roger Moore, Clayton Moore, or Mary Tyler Moore?
Rolling the random phone scrambler for the final time here on the show. Oh, look at this. Another classic player. Bob, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, everyone. Hey.
Good morning, Mr.
A is correct, my friend. Did you know that Mike Keenan question? I don't know if you were around listening to the show when we threw that out there, and Lubie nailed it without the choices. Unbelievable.
All right, Bob, Hoops, moving right along.
I guess he passed on that. He passed on that.
Yeah.
It's all right, Bob.
Hoops, Bob, true or false? Stephen A. Smith, not known for his math skills, after the Heat starting five scored just 18 points versus the Celtics the other night, said, "How can you expect Miami to win when the starting five scores a combined 8 points? Hell, that's an average of just 6 points each." True or false?
That's great.
That is true.
That's true?
Yeah.
Oh, he really said that.
Yeah. Somebody
No, get out of
corrected him
here.
and said 3.6, but that's true. Yes.
All right, very good. You have one going for 4 here, Bob.
Two.
No, he
going
said
for
true.
5.
Oh, you got 2 going for 5.
He
Sorry.
said-
Yeah.
He said
Blank
That's
on that.
okay. You're already
Yeah.
thinking about Italy. You're thinking about the Trevi Fountain.
No, I was
the
looking at some
Spanish
babes
Step.
in the crowd at the
Beautiful.
French Open here. I probably
Oh,
should be
okay,
more
even
focused
better.
on the show. They just
All
had
right,
the
football, Bob,
babe
your
span
3-point
there.
question.
Yeah.
the big cam.
In the history of the Miami Dolphins, they have drafted a quarterback in the second round only 3 times. Which of the following was not a second round pick? Guy Benjamin, Pat White, John Beck, or Don Strock?
Strock.
Stroker.
That's right.
Yes.
Nice.
He was a 5th round pick in 1973. Well done.
Virginia Tech Hokies.
That's
With
right.
the, what would that be? Like the 147th pick
Yeah, it's out
in
there.
the NFL draft.
5th
The
round.
Miami
Yeah,
Dolphins
could have
select
been.
Don Strock, quarterback, Virginia Tech. All right, going for the sweep here, Bob.
Deep.
And
We haven't had a sweep ever.
wow, and it's do or die here. I mean, this is game 7 for you. If you get this right, you're in the finals. If you miss it, sayonara until next week.
All right, Bob, let's go back to basketball. What team did Michael Jordan play his final career game against on April 16th, 2003? Was that the Hawks, the Bulls, the 76ers, or the Knicks?
No, not yet.
Hawks.
Hawks.
No.
Yes,
It was he scored 15 points for Washington Wizards in a 20-point loss to the 76ers.
Oh, Sixers. I don't know that.
All right, good job there, Bob. Goes right to the wire there and draws real tough. Draws like the one post in the Derby there with that final question that he had to try and take on. Gurgles, great job there. We're going to go to the finals here. It's going to consist of Andy from the hotel in Boca Raton with a naked woman waiting in his bed. And, well, I mean, it would also be interesting to envision the Chronic in a bedroom somewhere in South Florida with a naked woman just waiting for him to get
Yes,
off.
the difference is the Chronic would have to blow his up first.
That can be seen in a variety of lights there, Dave Gurgles Gurgly. Well, we do have to issue the disclaimer because we don't want to get into like a Johnny Depp, Amber Heard thing. We had a young lady on our podcast yesterday, Gurgles. You can appreciate this. And her name was Ashley Wilcott from Court TV. And she's covering the Amber Heard trial there, the civil suit there between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And you have to remember how classic is this, that these two people that are, the bulk of the testimony and the whole case is revolving around are both, actors, paid professionals at this. Johnny Depp, very accomplished. Amber Heard, not so much. I mean, did she get an Oscar nomination for Aquaman? I don't know. Not sure. It sounds like something that came out of Entourage. Anyway, I couldn't help but think, I mean, when are these two people just going to start throwing crap at each other? Just like, I mean, where doesn't, when you have like a thing and you go to therapy and usually after the therapy really doesn't hit home with either party, you end up going right back to the, stuff that led you to therapy in the first place.
Of course.
Screaming all kinds of ugliness at each other and maybe even, a few errant throws like Ryan Duran-esque where they missed a backstop. But wouldn't that be, I mean, it seems like that's where this trial is going, right? Where you're watching the courtroom proceedings.
Why wouldn't they just make it a half-hour show, put Judge Judy in charge, and it'd be done?
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't believe that shit you're saying. You're full of baloney. Listen, lady.
Johnny, you're a liar.
She'd have it wrapped up.
This isn't my first rodeo. Yeah, she goes Tom Selleck.
That's right. That's right.
You can't fool an old lady like me in spite of my funny-looking hair. Man, did she score big, huh? Well, I mean, Wapner's got to be rolling over in his grave, seeing the money that Judge Judy got for, her portfolio of shows. All right, here we go. Finals. You ready, Gergs? Andy versus Lenny. Yeah. Two classic players here. And we wish you guys both luck. It's for the Landlubber's gift certificate, which Lenny has many of. And Andy is inclined to decline and defer to Lenny on this sort of thing. So Lenny's probably going to walk away with the Landlubber's gift certificate either way. And he'll be there tonight. Wow. Surprise guest appearance, possibly, by Dave Gurgles Gurgly.
That'd be amazing.
I'm going to try.
What is that officially? Plantation or Sunrise, Lubie?
It's Plantation, actually. It's like on the line of Sunrise and Plantation.
Sunrise Boulevard and what? Nob Hill? Is that it?
Pine Island. It's Sunrise Boulevard and Pine Island.
I know exactly where it is. I'll be there.
Yeah, it's right there. Great place, man. You really like it. It's your kind of joint, as the polyman would say. All right, Gurgles has a question. Call out your name if you want to answer right away. Nobody answers right away. He'll have multiple choice. First person to call out his name gets first chance. We go back and forth till we have a winner for the championship of today's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Here's Dave Gurgles Gurgly.
And of course, with Hialeah Park, our major sponsor, the bonus question is going to be about horse racing. Listen closely, gentlemen. Yeah. In England, a very strange thing happened. A horse named Farmer Rain finished last of 10, but was declared the winner. Why?
Good question. Anybody? Here's multiple choice.
A, the other jockeys all weighed in after the race with illegal weights. B, he was the only horse whose jockey had not fallen off. C, he was the only horse in the post-race testing not to test positive for a banned substance. Or D, at one of the jumps, each of the other horses veered around the hurdle rather than jumping over it.
Oh, jeez.
Anybody?
Andy.
Andy.
I'll go with D. I'll go they went around the hurdle.
Around the hurdles.
Right.
Correct.
That's it.
Wow.
You got it. Well done.
Did you bet on that race?
Yeah, exactly. Did you bet on it?
Did you have action on that when you were watching at 3 a.m, racing from Europe on TVG? Waiting for Todd Schrupp to wake up and unbelievable. All right. All right. Andy wins the prize there. I thought maybe you were going to say in conjunction with C, Dave, that the 9 horses were all trained by Bob Baffert and failed drug tests.
Trained by Baffert.
It is weird having the Triple Crown without Baffert. And oddly enough, I mean, how ironic is it that D. Wayne, his despised rival, is in the spotlight at 86. And, here's Bob Baffert, OOP, as they used to say in dog racing, out of picture for the premier events in thoroughbred racing, which certainly have attracted a lot of attention. All right, your guys are off to Hazleton. I hope they texted you and said that they heard the mention on the show. They did? Okay, great. Nice. That sounded like a pretty cool
terrific, yeah.
Friends you have for 60 years. That's great.
60 years we've known them. We played baseball, basketball together. We played in Hazleton a couple of years ago at the club that Joe Madden is a member of, the former coach of the Cubs. But they're terrific guys, and what a great time you're going to have in Italy. In Rome, the Trevi Fountain, the Spanish Steps, the Colosseum, unbelievable. In Florence, Uffizi Museum, gelato. In Venice, just enjoy it. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's spectacular. I haven't done Venice. Other places.
I'll see what happens, man. I mean, my idea of culture is paradise in a casino. Even a crooked one.
I
don't even care.
Time.
Yeah.
You'll
see
have
what
a
happens. Should be a lot of fun. All right, thanks, Dave. Dave Gurgles Gurgly, ladies and gentlemen, on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. That was a good one today. Good addition. I think we, have this thing sort of halfway down, and well, who knows? I mean, one day it'll be right back in the full splendor with the Polyman and all of the other things that you become accustomed to enjoying. Which, how many years was it? Like 25, 26 years on a Saturday that we were doing that show.
Yep.
I will say it is kind of nice. I mean, as much as I enjoy working, having Saturdays to sleep in is, a real asset. So I like doing this on the Thursday. I like the video streaming aspect of it. And thank you, people, for participating. We really do appreciate it.
I really do.
And all the people tuning in here on On Channel. All right, Lubie and I will continue. I guess we can get back to the fetching. There's not much more to say about last night's Miami Heat playoff game against the Boston Celtics, except that the line makers were not only right, they were righteous. Righteous. What did they know that we didn't? About the condition of the Miami Heat.
They were paying attention to things that we weren't. I mean, look, the ESPN isn't either. ESPN's hailing it as Boston. Look, Boston didn't shoot well either. That's
Boston looked like crap in the first half also. I mean, like absolute garbage. Well.
It wasn't like they played so well. The Heat just
first quarter was 19-17 in a brick fest.
Yes, it was bad. It was 15-15 with like a minute left.
You've heard of Oktoberfest? That's always great with the beer. This was Brickfest.
Yeah,
brick
it was.
After brick after brick after
I thought
brick.
I had
there
gone
it
back
is,
to
brick.
the 90s. I'm like, when did the Knicks Heat get onto that? I'm like, what game is this? It was the worst. Even at halftime, it was like in the 30s. Like, what?
Why isn't the term brick used more frequently in telecasts of the NBA, especially with 7 for 45 3-point shooting by one team? You would have to think that at least 10 of those shots were labeled bricks. No?
They don't use that term.
And they refuse to acknowledge that the guy is just chucking up a brick, a boulder.
Strus and Oladipo, like literally, when they put up a three the last couple of games, it's just gross. It's like, okay.
Oh my God!
Lowry too.
Lowry, wow,
oh
clutch player. I mean, I don't know that he's Jerry West, Mr. Clutch, but he's always a pretty clutch playoff player. Kyle Lowry, as I recall. Yeah.
That's why I'm blaming injuries. And I'm not trying to be a guy who, it doesn't matter. The Celtics will get through. It doesn't matter how. I would take it as a Heat fan if the Celtics were hurt. I don't give a shit. I'm just saying, like, these are guys that never do. Like, Lowry's looks tentative. Like, Lowry's never tentative. Lowry's very aggressive. And he's like, he and Butler look so, like, skittish. And I'm like, okay, something's going on. Like, these two guys never give a shit. And they look so skittish. I'm like, that's when I sort of mailed it in as a fan. I'm like, yeah, it is. If they win, they'll shock me because I don't see. Eventually, Tatum and Brown are going to hit shots, and these guys don't look like they have it. They just, I mean, Strus is going to the locker room. Hero's wearing his fucking sunglasses. I'm like, okay. I'm like, it felt like last year when they played the Bucks, where I was like, okay, yeah, good luck.
I think there's a little bit of a different approach in the coach's approach to. When things are going wrong. Spo seems pretty scientific, philosophical about the whole thing. And this Udoka looks like he just wants to put a fist through your head.
Yes.
And not to say that he's not some intellectual type of coach, because obviously he's very well equipped to do the job. He's did a brilliant job.
He's done a great job
this year. Would you? Is he one of the candidates for Coach of the Year? Ime Udoka?
He should.
No, he didn't get it. Oh, right, yeah, because the Phoenix guy got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was three guys. I think it was the great. Was it?
It might have been. It was Jason Kidd one of the nominees for Coach of the Year. Jason Kidd.
They only did three. They should have had five because Kidd deserved some shine, and the Grizzlies coach for sure deserved. I mean, they didn't have Morant most of the season, and they were just as good without him, which is fucking mind-blowing. Looking at the Heat without Jimmy Butler, they're a very different team. The fact that the Grizzlies can be very similar with or without Morant is spectacular. He definitely deserved it, the Grizzlies coach.
He was great.
I don't
remember his name either. I mean, it's a shame. It was like it took me 3 years to recognize Budenholzer as the coach of the Bucks. It did, everybody was a disciple of the Popovich coaching tree. Everybody. How many coaches did they have at San Antonio? It's just incredible.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, he coached with Pop. That's all you need to know. Yeah, he worked with Pop. Yeah, Pop was his mentor. Pop loved the guy. Pop didn't want to see him go. Pop tried to deny him a chance to get the interview for the job. He really loved him on the bench. It's all Popovich. Popovich morphing into Donald Sutherland, but Jason Kidd, I do believe, is morphing into somewhat of a facsimile of Howie Mandel, the comedian. No. Is he not? The way he smiles and the whole thing, I don't want to get in trouble with the lovely and talented Leslie Visser, who, by the way, we applaud our dear friend Leslie Visser. I don't know if she'll allow us to use that kind of descriptive language in kind of giving you a hint into our relationship. I mean, dear friend, is that over the top? I mean, we love her.
She's been in our
Even if,
weddings.
yeah.
I don't know why. Don't ask me why, but she's 100% a dear friend. I mean, she literally set up. You wouldn't have had a wedding without her. You would have done it in a back alley.
Oh yeah,
in
that's
between
right.
sessions if it wasn't for Visser Mama.
And the actual chalk outline of my ex-wife that they put together was, that was a stroke of genius. Walk outside. There's literally a chalk outline of my ex-wife, which I've joked about for years.
At this point,
outside of what was that? The same place, the little Chapel of the Bells. Can you go back to see? Because the first wedding was, that was my second marriage, but it was my first time going down the aisle there in Las Vegas. And no, actually, yeah, it was the second time. I've been down the aisle 3 times in Las Vegas, but one was completely fugazi, and it was orchestrated by the great Burt Randolph Sugar. And I've told this story many times, but I had become friends with Burt Sugar. We were always covering fights together in Las Vegas around the 5th of May there, these Cinco de Mayo fights. And Don King was doing a zillion promotions where he was inviting everybody in the media to come out there on a freebie trip to Las Vegas because he was desperate. Tyson was in jail, and he was trying to promote all these Julio Cesar Chavez fights. So ran into Burt. He's a tremendous guy. Was one of my favorites of all the people that I met in my lifetime. I loved hanging out with Burt Sugar. Funny, I mean, that dry humor that you saw on TV and many of his writings. I mean, Sandy may disagree, but the guy was just like a super guy and a lot of fun. And for me, being a diehard boxing fan from the time I can remember, I mean, this is a legendary guy. It's like hanging out with Muhammad Ali, in terms of a media presence.
Yes.
So, Bert's up at a bar now. I believe he was happily married, so I don't know exactly what was going on with this. And he's with 2 hot babes.
Yeah, but I mean,
and I roll over to say hello, and I'm making the acquaintance of naturally I gravitated towards the blonde. The brunette was talking and seemed to be enamored with Burt Sugar, who everybody was spellbound by.
He was
Burt
great.
whenever
His
he started.
wit was amazing. We had him literally. He used to come on in our early days all the time, and he passed soon after that, and he passed at a ripe old age. So he was older when he would come on, and he would have me losing it. Like
and he had the classic thing. I mean, the cigar, the fedora. He had those characteristics. You could have had like just one of those silhouette drawings of him, and you would have known like a caricature. I guess it would be. You would have known right away that it was Burt Sugar.
Yep.
So anyway, we're having a couple of drinks, and the next thing I know, I'm in the chapel downstairs at the MGM Grand with this woman, and Bert's saying that we're going to get married. And thank God the place was closed because I think he was serious. I think he had put up. I mean, I just met her. Not that I haven't impulse married in the past. I think like on all 3 occasions I rolled the dice very early on. No, Mustang I knew for quite a few years.
You were together a while.
Yeah. That was, that was like, are we going to get married or what? Where's the commitment here? No, I mean, it was an appropriate thing to do. It really was. I mean, the IRS was after me. No, it was definitely. I mean, we're on our way to Italy. So here we are, like 10 years later.
Okay, working.
Yeah. Eat a lot of gelato. Is that what you're saying?
Eat a lot of
your anxiety. Yeah. Let me have another one of those. What's the best flavor of gelato? I don't even know.
I know they have a thing called an affogato, which is great, where it's like coffee mixed with gelato, and it's like and everything. It's like cheap. It's like $2-3, and it's a monster, and you can share it. Everything over there is amazing. Like Gurgles is right. I had never been to Venice, but I heard Venice is more touristy. It's a little more money, but it's really cool. But Florence, if you can get to Tuscany, get to like Chianti, or get to one of the wine regions.
We're going down to Tuscany for something on one of the tours.
Get to Tuscany, that's what you want because
wine
you
country.
are a wine guy, and the wine there is amazing. And it's very.
How are the white wines in Italy? I'm not familiar with Italian whites.
Both of them. I mean, white and reds are really good. And you being in California first, it reminds me of California with like the rolling hills.
Oh, yeah?
Like, it's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So good, man. Wherever you go, the food, like people will give you restaurant tips. It doesn't matter. Wherever you go, it's amazing. And it's
kind of like New Orleans in that regard,
yes,
right? Which is good. I mean, you could walk into some scummy bar where, they have vomit on the welcome mat. And you go in there and you're eating one of the meals, best meals you've had in your lifetime. But I did want to say and acknowledge the recipient last night of the Television Lifetime Achievement Award. And this was from the Emmys, right? The lovely and talented Leslie Visser got a
really?
Lifetime Achievement Award. Yeah, remember that was supposed to happen like a couple of years ago or
Oh,
a year
that was a
ago?
thing from like a while ago. Okay, I'm like, why would I not have known that?
And they finally had the ceremony after the whole COVID thing, and so yeah, there's some very very I mean, just beautiful pictures of Leslie Visser holding the Emmy Academy's Lifetime Television Achievement Award, and looking like she just got into the game herself.
Yeah, she looks great.
Still has that youthful exuberance for the business there. So congratulations, Leslie Visser.
Mazel tov. That's
And
amazing. Congrats.
I hope you don't mind that we took the liberty of referring to you as our dear friend here on the show. Dear friends.
I mean, she was at both of my weddings.
We are gathered here today.
She went across the country to give you a wedding.
The fact that she went to that second wedding after being at the first one.
She went to Homestead.
Oh my God! And the Duke also. I mean, let's not leave out the Duke
Duke's right there. I'm not saying they should be proud that they're dear friends, but that's on them. They're family at this fucking point. It is what it is.
Yeah, 2 Lubie weddings, man. Very few people. I mean, I'm surprised it wasn't one of Gergel's questions. Of the following, who has not been to both of Lubie's weddings? The professor, Leslie Visser, Defo.
All of you were there.
Lenny the Crown.
Jersey wasn't at the first one. I guess you could have said Jersey.
Oh, yeah. How about him wearing a high-top Converse with a white suit like he was John Travolta?
That's exactly. He's like Seacrest.
Meeting Mel Counts. What the hell was that? All right, so we're going to come back with more here. We mentioned Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. I can't believe the professor went down there. He is kind of a Keys guy. Was he visiting C.J. Spiller?
Yes, they went down to C.J.'s place, which is an offshoot of the Big Chill. They all one big happy family, and C.J. filled him and his friend up, and they were loaded. And then I guess the next day was at the Big Chill, so he did the whole big family experience.
Oh, nice, yeah. I mean, John Kajemi turned us on to it. Larry Calvano's the owner. They're all St. Thomas guys. I did talk to Tommy Fox yesterday, by the way, Michael Lubitz, and it's game on.
Okay.
We'll be heading down there pretty soon, and looks like we'll be just going ahead and continuing that relationship.
Nice.
So,
we love it, man.
that's very, very nice, yeah. Love representing good places. Well, we really do. And Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill happens to be one of them. And when a place surprises you, like maybe you've been touting a place and you've seen pictures and reviews and talked to people, and everybody says, "Oh yeah, it's great." And this is a nice thing about a lot of the people that have backed us here on the show. You find out it's even better than it's not like words cannot describe, because obviously then there would be no need for any words. But it's hard to really illuminate to the full extent the brilliance of some of the people that back us here on the show, including what they do at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, Key Largo. You're looking for that relaxed vibe, but you're not necessarily looking for this to be an extension of the Bahamas.
No.
Where, hey, Lou, can I get a drink over here? Oh, your name isn't Lou? Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
exactly. The service is European, yes.
Yeah. Is that what I should expect in Italy?
That's what you need to expect, yes.
Don't become impatient? Yeah.
Everything is very... It's not as bad. People prep me the other way, so I was waiting for these 3-hour meals, and it wasn't that bad. Like, service was good, but they don't rush you. Like, to pay the check is on you. Like, once you get your last food, unless, because they don't assume you want dessert, so you have to ask for dessert a lot of the time. They won't bother you. They will leave you at your table until you ask for a check. Like, they're not going to come by and say, would you like the check? Here's the check. Do the thing where you do at the bar where they put the check sitting there. They'll let you sit there for fucking hours until you say check. And the check sign.
So you can break out like War and Peace and
you can be the
show the guy that you're reading the prelude.
Yep.
And that you intend to finish the book while you're there. And I'm a slow reader, by the way. Very slow reader.
Well, exactly. But they don't make money by tips, really. So they don't worry about turning over tables. Like, they don't give a shit.
Okay.
Some group's there for 4 hours. Like, they don't care.
All right. Makes some sense.
It can work for you.
All right, we'll look forward to that. You'll hear 4 hour. I can't do that because we'll get in trouble with some kind of critical society here. But you know the old joke, right? Yes, Chinese buffet. All right. We'll come back with more in a moment here. Don't forget, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, great place to go. The professor gives it a ringing endorsement if he was there on his own.
Yep.
I consider that really, really heavyweight testament.
Yeah, it's impressive
to its greatness there. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway. We can't wait to get back down there, and we love those guys. It's absolutely fantastic. And don't forget about Dave Hyde's book coming out on Jimmy. I think that's going to be a brilliant read.
Nice.
Jimmy's certainly very engaging when it comes to conversation, and Dave Hyde knows how to write. So nice combination working on that. And we'll have to work on when I get back, Mike Westhoff, and talk about his book.
I wanted to
figure it
have him
out.
on this week, but there's so much other stuff going on. I'll call him when you get back. We'll have him on.
Yeah, and we wish him all the success in the world. Many of our people that we have as regulars on the show now in the publishing business and coming out with blockbuster sports books that figure to have a lot of success. So, and Jason Cole, I mean, he's still working on that movie, right?
But a few.
We know a lot of people. I mean, Feinstein's written a couple of 100 books. Come on, Lubie. We're very big in the literary world here on a Defo show. Even though neither of us can.
Writers.
I can barely read and write. Right? Sign on the next here. All right, coming back with more in a moment. We'll wrap things up on this fine Thursday edition. Great job by Dave Gurgles Gurgly, and terrific job by you players today on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We'll be back in a moment to finish things off. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:50. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Mark Henry, who is a Hall of Famer from the WWE, but also has many great distinctions. This gentleman holds world records that perhaps will never be broken. Mark, you really think those Russians were juicing in the Olympic Games? They had women that were bigger than you.
I just want to ask you this question. Is pig pork?
I'm with you, Mark Henry. I mean, we've had our suspicions going all the way back to when I first saw Tamara Press in the 50s.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
Will always remain Mike Lubie Lubitz, no matter how many times you tell me, hey, Defo, you got to come into the present. The Tamara Press reference. I think she was like a Russian hammer thrower. I always thought she was a shot putter, but I was talking about it the other day with somebody at a bar, and you'll find it surprising. I was at a parimutuel facility, a simulcasting place, and somehow it came back to Tamara Press. We were talking about juice, and I was referencing the fact that as a kid, we knew nothing about this at the time, but the Russians obviously were doing something, because this woman had a beard that made ZZ Top look like they were clean shaven. Really did. And she was humongous on top of that. And you're thinking, what's up with that, right? Come on, you Russians. Come clean.
Exactly.
Not likely to happen anytime soon. And of course, what's going on with Russia and the Ukraine is also another absolutely horrifying situation. It's weird too. Are we the only country that has school shootings and these mass shootings?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not being.
There are acts of terrorism we see elsewhere in the world where somebody comes in with like a suicide bomb and blows up like an area in France or some other European country. But I want to say that the United States is the only country that has these kind of atrocities taking place.
Yes,
and as frequently as they are.
Well, I mean, the other countries that have had them, it's like 1 or 6 or 5. We've had literally 30 school shootings this year. It's only May.
Yeah.
And over 200 mass shootings this year, and it's only May.
How much money must these gun lobbyists be putting into the pockets of
Rubio alone, they
seems to be largely Republican people. I mean, there's been zero progress made on some of the most minor adjustments that they might make, and in terms of how to administer these background checks, and there have been proposals out there for years and years, and they have made zero progress, 0.0. Now, you can't tell me that you need to get the Second Amendment out and protect the rights of an 18-year-old kid to buy an assault weapon. I don't think when the Second Amendment was written that that was anywhere near the intent of what this amendment was all about the right to bear arms. Okay,
we're about defending ourselves. We don't use nukes for that. We use drone strikes. We don't use guns to defend our country anymore.
People were loading muskets though back then.
Yes,
and like remember when they used to have the duels? that was the kind of weapons we were talking about.
Yes. It's true.
We weren't talking about giving an 18-year-old who's been bullied in school apparently, and had become and driven himself into obviously an extremely dark place, to where he's arguing with his grandmother over his phone bill, and he shoots her in the head. And then it just happened on his 18th birthday to go out and buy an assault weapon, which how would it be, with all the sophistication we have to cross-reference things, how is it possible that nobody is even in favor of just saying, oh, okay, here's something, this should be in a computer system somewhere. And we just noticed that this guy bought 2 assault rifles in the last 3 or 4 days, bought like thousands of rounds of ammunition, also has ordered body armor online. I mean, all of this information would be available somewhere.
Yeah. What do you mean?
If you made it detectable and mandatory that, people have to register with whatever filing commission is keeping track of this stuff. And then, maybe some crime-fighting organization could cross-reference this with some of the social media posts and say, wait a minute, wow, this guy right now represents a real and present danger. Let's check this out. Or could stop him from, possibly purchasing these weapons in the first place, which there's just no reason to have assault rifles, in like, they don't have them in Walmart anymore, I guess. But, when you go to Bob's Gun and Tobacco,
yep,
and, you're somewhere in some small town in Texas, I mean, do you really need to buy an assault rifle to do what? What is it that you're planning on doing with this? You're not collecting these things.
Well, you're not going
18-year-old kid.
You're not going hunting. You're not protecting your home. You're not doing any of that here. Like, that's just not.
So any regulation that could be passed, any law that could be passed or adjusted or modified, that would maybe even have the slightest percentage of a chance of curtailing something like that happening, is worth looking into, is it not? I mean, how is it going to be so inhibiting to the rights of others to have to wait a couple of days to see if you qualify to buy this gun or not? I just don't understand it. And then I really believe this, and not to get too heavily political, but that Marco Rubio was a disgrace yesterday, an absolute outright, flat out disgrace in his answers to direct questions about, isn't it about time, Marco, that we at least considered a couple of things?
Yeah.
And he comes back with, well, as far as we know, I mean, I don't know if he even qualified it or, paraphrased or whatever, put any kind of, parentheses on there is what I meant to say. But, I mean, no gun show has sold a weapon to somebody who was involved in one of these mass shootings. Oh, okay, Marco, that's a good response. Wow. I mean, a disgrace. And it's time this country woke up. I mean, we're the only ones experiencing these horror, situations. And you can't even imagine. I can't even conceive of what it would be like to be one of the people that dropped your 7, 8-year-old, 10-year-old kid off at school that morning and, find out later on that afternoon that they've been shot along with 18 other students and 2 teachers. And this is just days in the aftermath of this horrific occurrence in Buffalo, New York, with a couple of other more minor episodes in between that we can't even qualify anymore because it was like only 3-4 people were shot to death.
Yeah,
going about their business, doing routine stuff. Incredible. And we don't want to do anything about that, huh? That's really disturbing. All of this rhetoric that goes back and forth.
Actions will bother.
When does a politician actually start to exhibit some real human characteristics and say, I don't care what side of the fence I'm on this thing. This needs to change, and something needs to be done. Whatever we can do, even if it's totally ineffective in the long run, at least we need to try something.
Yeah, let's try something.
Yeah, crazy. Sick of them. I mean, please, muskets.
Yeah, come on.
What were those pistols called? Where you put the 2 bullets in?
Oh, good.
And the dueling pistols. You remember? Did they have a name? It escapes me. All right, we had a lot of fun being with you. I'll be gone for a little while. Not long enough to have you miss me, but Lubie will be carrying the load here on the Defo Show, so it'll quickly become. I think I'll know then. That I've been sabotaged when I look online there and Google the Defo Show, and it just says the Lubie Show, formerly known as
I don't
the
plan on
artist,
changing the name, but okay.
formerly known as the Defo Show, the Lubie Show. That'll be taking place, and I will be back like a week from Tuesday.
Yes,
a week from Tuesday back on
when
the
you
show.
for sure will be back, yes.
And that'll be the longest time, I would have to say, in 50 years that I haven't done some kind of broadcasting. So that's going to be a little bit weird, too. Do I go through withdrawals or just decide to move permanently to Italy and never come back?
We'll see.
Possibilities, my friend. Possibilities.
We'll see.
Yeah. Sweetie, we're selling a house. Moving into some, what would it be, a chalet or whatever? What do they call that stuff? Outside of Tuscany? That would be bad.
Villa. It would be a villa.
Yeah.
Italy.
Chalet would be in France. All right. All right. We'll see you. I mean, Lubie's going to see you tomorrow. He'll have a Degenerate Friday for you. The professor with the big board and Mike Mayo, the gambling gourmet, who, I don't know, is he going to be crying about? No, he's handled that well, not making that bet on the Lightning.
No. I mean, it is what it is. It should have, but it is what it is.
Gamblers should not just rely on trusting exclusively their negative instincts. That is something that should be discussed with Mayo on the show tomorrow. All right, we'll see you. We love you, everybody. Thanks so much for everything. Be back in short order, and Lubie will carry on the great tradition of the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff Deforrest. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
Ciao, everybody. It's like 9:01.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.